Before this module gives you any definitions, it shows you 3 scenarios that happened. 3 failures, 3 very different kinds of harm, and 3 different answers to the same question, what exactly went wrong? This module gives you the framework to answer that and to ask the right questions whenever you hear about any security failure. Before any definitions, 3 things happened. All 3 are cybersecurity failures. See if you can spot what is different about each one. Scenario A. A journalist's confidential source list, names, contact details, locations, is stolen from an encrypted laptop left in a cafe. The attacker now knows who the journalist has been speaking to. Nothing has been changed. The files are intact, but the wrong person now has access to information they should never have seen. Scenario B. A patient checks into hospital for surgery. The surgical team reviews her records and sees she has no known allergies. In fact, she is severely allergic to a common anesthetic. But someone at some point deleted the allergy entry from her record. Nothing was stolen. The file is accessible. It looks perfectly normal. But the information inside it is wrong. Scenario C. A small town's water treatment facility is attacked by ransomware. The engineers cannot access any of their monitoring tools. The plant is still physically operational. No data has been stolen or changed. But no one can check whether the water is safe or adjust the treatment process. The systems are locked. 3 failures. 3 very different consequences. 3 different answers to the question, what exactly went wrong? Each maps to a different principle in what security professionals call the CIA triad. CIA stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It is the most widely used framework for thinking about what security is actually trying to protect. Almost every cybersecurity failure you will ever encounter can be described in terms of these 3 principles. C. Confidentiality. Only the right people can see it. Confidentiality means that information is accessible only to those who are supposed to have access to it. It is the principle most people associate with security, keeping secrets secret. Scenario A was a confidentiality failure. The journalist's source list was seen by someone who should never have had access to it. I. Integrity. It hasn't been changed without authorization. Integrity means that information is accurate and has only been changed by people who are authorized to change it, and that those changes are recorded. Scenario B was an integrity failure. The patient's allergy record was altered without authorization. The file looked normal. Nobody could tell. That is what makes integrity failures so dangerous. They are invisible until they cause harm. A. Availability. You can access it when you need it. Availability means that information and systems can be accessed by authorized people when they need them. Scenario C was an availability failure. The water treatment engineers had every right to access their systems, but they could not. No data was stolen. No data was changed. But the inability to access critical systems in real time created a genuine danger. Here is a reference view of all 3 principles together. Confidentiality, only the right people can see it. Everyday example, your medical records are visible to your doctor, not your neighbor. It is broken when someone reads your private messages, or a company sells your data without permission. Integrity, it has not been changed without permission. Everyday example, the bank balance you see is accurate and has not been altered by anyone. It is broken when a hacker changes a payment destination or someone edits a contract after it was signed. Availability, you can access it when you need it. Everyday example, a hospital can access your records during an emergency, not just when it is convenient. It is broken when ransomware locks all your files or a power cut destroys data that was never backed up. Notice something here. It is tempting to think of confidentiality as the main security goal, because breaches involving stolen data make the news most often. But availability failures can be just as severe. A hospital that cannot access patient records during a medical emergency. A factory whose control systems are locked by ransomware. a business that cannot issue invoices because its systems are down. And integrity failures can be the most quietly catastrophic of all. Wrong medical dosages, altered financial records, fabricated evidence. The CIA triad is a triangle, not a hierarchy. In practice, major attacks often violate more than one principle simultaneously. Consider a ransomware attack on a small accounting firm. Stage 1. The attackers spend 2 weeks quietly inside the firm's network. They read client financial records. That is a confidentiality violation, but nobody knows it yet. Stage 2. They alter several invoice records to redirect payments to their own accounts. That is an integrity violation, but the invoices still look normal. Stage 3. They encrypt all files and demand payment. That is an availability violation, and it is the first thing the firm notices. By the time the firm realizes what happened, all 3 principles have been broken, and untangling which data was seen, which was changed, and which needs to be restored is a weeks-long forensic exercise. This kind of multi-stage attack is increasingly common. Understanding the triad helps you ask the right questions after an incident, not just what was stolen, but also what might have been changed, and what can we still access and trust. You do not need to label every topic as a confidentiality issue or an integrity issue as you go through the course. But knowing the triad changes how you think about every security story you encounter, in the news, at work, or in these modules. When you hear about a data breach, the natural question shifts from whose fault was it to which of these 3 things failed and how. That is a more useful question. It points towards solutions rather than blame. Here is how the defenses you will learn about in this course connect back to the triad. Encryption protects confidentiality. It makes data unreadable to anyone who does not have the key. Access controls protect all 3. They stop the wrong people from reading data, confidentiality, from changing it, integrity, from blocking access to it, availability. Backups protect availability. They ensure that even if systems are locked or destroyed, the data can be recovered. Audit logs protect integrity. They create a record of who changed what, so alterations can be detected and traced. Multi-factor authentication protects all 3, by making it much harder for an attacker to gain access in the first place. As you work through the rest of this course, you will find that almost every defense connects back to one of these 3 principles. The CIA triad is not an abstract concept to memorize. It is a lens that makes everything else clearer. The CIA triad is the conceptual foundation of the ShieldNet cybersecurity standard and of virtually every professional cybersecurity framework in the world. In ShieldNet, the Shield and Build action zone focuses on confidentiality and integrity through access controls, encryption, and hardened configurations. The React and Recover zone focuses on availability through business continuity planning, backups, and recovery testing. The Watch and Patch zone protects all 3 by detecting failures before they cause harm. One final thought before we move on. When something goes wrong, when you read about a breach in the news, or when something happens at your organization, the CIA triad gives you a structured way to think about it. What was accessed that should not have been? What might have been changed? What became unavailable? 3 questions, often more useful than 100 technical details. Alright, before we move on, here are the 3 things from this module I want you to hold on to. Number 1, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Every security incident damages at least one of these 3 properties. Number 2, integrity breaches are the most dangerous and the most overlooked. Data that is wrong is much worse than data that is missing. And number 3, the CIA triad is not jargon. It is the framework that makes every other security concept coherent. Now, before we move on, there is one question. A hacker breaks into a hospital system and changes several patients' blood type records, but steals nothing. Which principle of the CIA triad has been violated? The correct answer is, of course, B. The attacker accessed the system, which is a confidentiality concern, but the primary harm is the alteration of the data. Records that contain wrong blood types could lead to lethal treatment decisions. That is an integrity breach, and it illustrates why integrity is often the most dangerous dimensions to violate. Next up, Module 3, Risk. See you there.